What is emotional home? Well, truthfully, emotional home, it's a place where we feel safe. It's a place that we gravitate towards. It's almost like there's something inside of us that if there is danger, we want to go back into the same spot because that's where we feel like we belong. It's an amazing feeling because it's constructed in such a way that it makes us feel like there is a place for us. And it's very interesting how Jehovah's Witnesses are very good at providing emotional home for people who need it. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. We all need it. We all have it. Unfortunately, there are some good and bad to having an emotional home that it's provided to you instead of you choosing your own. Let me walk you through this. Well, the problem is what we believed that emotional home would be like versus what it really is. See, they promise us a spiritual paradise, that this is the best way of living. And we thought there is no better life except the one that we have inside the congregation. It is safe. We have the best unity. We have the best brothers and sisters, the best brotherhood, the best understanding, the best Bible, the best truth. I mean, you name it, we had the best. Nothing else in this world could possibly compare to it. Well, in reality, it didn't feel like a beautiful house on the beach with a beautiful view and a swimming pool. It felt more like a subsidized apartment building controlled by the government, where you have to follow all the rules and you feel like you're dependent on the government all the time, and you can't move out because there are severe consequences of you moving out. You'll end up on the street and your whole family and friends are living in the building, so good luck moving out. It really felt totally different, although people believed that there was nothing better. And truthfully, for people who live in a government building, for them that's most likely the best way that they possibly can live. If they don't live there, where are they going to live? They're going to live in a shelter or they're going to live on the street. So for them, that's the best way of living because they can't afford anything else. And it's the same thing with Jehovah's Witnesses. They think they have the best way of living. They think they have the best way of life because simply they don't know anything better. They have never developed their own strength, their own values. It was simply given to them. Until the moment of awakening, until the moment when something collapses, when you realize that what they told you is simply not truth. Every moment of awakening is pretty much crushing when you feel like, you know what? I've been lied to. The things that I believed to be true turn out not to be so. And I realized that there's not much I can do about it. Your mind collapses. I remember mine did. You don't know what's good, what's bad, what's moral, what's immoral, what's sinful, what's not sinful. You don't know how to make decisions. You don't know who's your friend. You don't know who loves you truthfully. It is really crushing. It is not easy. Your emotional home is gone. It's shaken. The foundations are gone. Wherever you believed, whatever you lived before, whatever felt comfortable, it no longer feels comfortable. It actually feels that the longer you stay there, the more dangerous it is for you. It's like a building when you realize foundations are giving in and you're still there. And you're sitting at every meeting and your stomach is turning and you can't listen to this anymore. And the more you're listening, the more you feel unease and you're no longer feeling safe. Previously, you had no problem going to the meetings, no problem listening to the speaker. And now it's like, oh man, I don't think I can do this anymore. Because you're outgrowing that space. Because the foundation of that faith are gone. They're cracking. They're falling apart. And you don't know if you're going to be able to replace it with anything else. Until you decide to leave. See, the thing is, there is a moment of decision, whether somebody else makes the decision for you when they say you're disfellowshipped. It's like you're evicted from that apartment, until the moment of, okay, I want to leave or I don't want to return after you got kicked out. And there is this question, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? Because majority of Jehovah's Witnesses think if that was the best life ever, then there is nothing in this world. There is nothing better than what I have found. And truthfully, if you go to other religions, you're going to find a lot of mess. You're going to find a lot of trouble and a lot of problems. And you will not agree with every single doctrine you're going to hear from the platform, no matter what religion you go to. So I actually encourage you to do this research and go and listen to other preachers, to other religions, to find out what is it that they believe in, just so you can be certain that you don't want to go there. Because Jehovah's Witnesses will always tell you where you're going to go. Show me something better and I will go. And go and explore. Just like when you leave a building, when you are evicted from an apartment or you feel no longer safe in an apartment, and then you have to find where you want to live. Are you going to live in another apartment building where somebody else built the structure and they said you are welcome to come as long as you follow all the rules, then you can stay here? Are you going to go there? And if you don't like it, you switch to something else. That's like going from a subsidized government building into a regular building where you're just renting from a landlord. Somebody else created the structure, not you. You're moving in, just like you're going to another church, and you have to accept all what the church teaches, because that's where you belong now. However, with the apartment building, if you don't want to live there, you can move somewhere else, and the consequences are very small, if any. While when you're living in a government subsidized building, moving out is almost no option because you can't afford anywhere else, or you move out to live on the street or in the shelter, which is much worse. So when you outgrow that space, when you realize I don't want to live in that kind of environment anymore, and then you go into a much better place, but it is still somebody else's. It's still somebody else's. It's just like it's still somebody else's building. Somebody else created that structure and a room and bedrooms for you and kitchen and bathroom, and they gave you, rules what you can, you cannot do, and you have to accept it, but it's still not your own. So now it's your choice. You go and you check what else is available. Should you start building your own home? And if you decide to build your own home, the very first thing you got to do is what? You have to design it. You have to design it. You got to sit on the paper with pen and paper and draw. I want to have a kitchen. I want to have 2 bathrooms or 3 bathrooms. I want to have 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. I want to have an office. You have to put it all on paper. Just like creating a vision for your life. It has to be done the same way. What values do you want to carry? Which is the most important? Do you want to focus on the family? Do you want to focus on business? Do you want to focus on finances? Do you want to focus on health and fitness? Do you want to focus on your energy? Do you want to focus on friends and connections? All those values, you have to figure it out which one will be a bigger or smaller portion in your life. Just like designing a house, you're going to decide, do I want small bathroom or want a bigger bathroom? Do I want to have a small bedroom or a bigger bedroom? And you make those decisions on paper first. It is a very healing and extraordinary exercise that can help you to move forward. One of the strongest things. Why? Because once you have that vision, once you know, like, this is what I want, this is a moment when you start going in the right direction. You don't have that house yet. It's not built. And it's not going to be built in one day just because you drew something on the paper. No. That takes time. That takes effort. Just like building a house takes time and effort. But it's worth it. It is worth it because it is yours. You will choose how you're going to live your life. You will choose your values. You will choose your beliefs. You will choose your friends. You will choose what kind of a life you want. And then you're going to build it the way you designed it. It is by far the best thing that we can do instead of living somebody else's life, instead of living up to somebody else's expectations of what we can and cannot do. How do we do this? Let me walk you through this. As a JW, and I'm just using me as an example here, obviously every single person is an individual and they have different values and different beliefs, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you will relate, especially to the column on left when I'm talking about JWs. See, JWs, the very first is obedience and loyalty. That's the very first value. See, when you're living in somebody else's home, how much changes can you do? Can you move the foundations a little bit? Can you move this wall and put it somewhere else? Can you destroy the kitchen and build another one in another room? Not a chance. Why? Because it's not yours. Somebody else built it. Somebody else designed it. Somebody else paid for it. And they're only allowing you to live there if you follow their rules, not yours. And they will also allow you to make certain decisions, but they will tell you how far you can go. They'll say you can paint this wall, you can hang some paintings on a wall, but you cannot move the wall, you cannot destroy the foundations, you cannot destroy the wall, you cannot change the ceiling. Those things are mine, and you as a renter are not allowed to move those things. You can suggest it, you can call me and say, hey, the roof is leaking, you should fix it, but it's my roof and it's up to me to fix it. But if you're a renter, you can't do nothing except little things. And it's the same thing as a JW. As a JW, you were in their religion. It is not your religion. You didn't design it. You didn't build the kingdom halls. You didn't pay for the kingdom halls. Maybe you contributed, fine, as a renter. But it's not yours. You didn't design the values. You didn't design the doctrines. You didn't design the beliefs. You didn't print the magazines, Bibles, and you didn't translate everything. This is not your religion. You are there as a renter. And if you want to move something and you say, hey, this wall that says 1914 should not be here, it is not up to you to move it. Your choice is, do I accept this or do I move out? It might not be comfortable, but it's not a deal breaker. For some people, it's a deal breaker. For some people, it's not. They find this or that inconvenient, but they still decide to stay. Just like in an apartment, you might not like it, it might not be your favorite, but it's not a deal breaker. I need a place to live. It's the same thing with the religion. You are in it, it's not yours. And the very basic thing that they had, the foundation of their faith, it's obedience and loyalty. Obedience and loyalty. Those things were by far the most important. And if anyone of the Jehovah's Witness decides to go to the basement and starts chipping the foundations, and it starts being disobedient and disloyal, they will be removed immediately. Immediately. You cannot start chipping somebody else's foundations and expect them to still accept you in that environment. You can't. And it's the same with them. They have rules and they're saying, you are welcome to come. You're welcome to come to every single meeting. You can sing with us. You can pray with us. You can do what everybody else is doing. You can use those meetings as long as you're not trying to destroy anybody else's faith. As long as you're not trying to undermine the faith. As long as you're loyal and obedient, we will allow you to be here. If not, you will be evicted. And it makes sense, doesn't it? I know it's painful because your family lives in that building and they're telling them that whoever is evicted, you're not allowed to talk to them. And that is not right. I agree with you 100%. But as long as you're in it, as long as you're in this religion, they have a right to set up whatever rules and guidelines they want. They have a right to come up with any type of doctrines they want, any beliefs, the most extraordinary claims they want to come up with. It is their religion, not yours. And you can bring the Bible and you can bring whatever proofs that you have of history and common sense or mathematical equations, whatever. You bring it to them and say, look, your house is not built properly. And they still have that right to say, we believe it is. And if you don't like it, go build your own. But this one stays the way it is. And it's so sad to see ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who don't understand this. They don't get it. They think they have a right to go to Jehovah's Witnesses and tell them what they should and should not believe. It's not your religion. People have a choice. They can choose to stay there or not, regardless if they believe in the doctrines or not, regardless if the doctrines are true or not. They have a right to be there. And Jehovah's Witnesses have a right to have their religion and their doctrines anywhere they want. You go to other religions, you're going to scratch your heads like, oh my gosh, why do people believe this? Just like you going to somebody else's home thinking, Why do people live like that? I would never live like that. It's not your standard. But they're totally fine the way they are. You might completely dislike the fact that somebody smokes cigarettes in their own home, one after another. It stinks. Maybe that's not your standard, but for somebody else, that's fine. That's how they want to live. It's not up to us to decide how people want to live their life. It's not up to us to decide how people want to create their religions. If you don't like it, create your own. Create your own. That's what they created. They created foundations with unity and loyalty. And if anybody tries to undermine this, it is their foundation of their faith. And you can't go there and try to destroy it and thinking it should be fine. The second one is unity. It's that floor that everybody's walking on. Unity for them is number 2 value. If we're not united, then the house will start falling apart. We have to be one-minded. We all have to be obedient to the governing body. And if we are obedient to the governing body, we will all be united. Unity is what brings us together. Unity gives us strength. That is their beliefs. And guess what? You can be united with them or you can move out. That's your choice. But you can't go inside, try to break the floor of unity and say, no. I'm going to do it my own way and I'm going to tell everybody that this is wrong. Okay, that's your opinion, but you're no longer living there. You will be evicted. Third is we believe that we had to witness about God's kingdom. Everything. See, now we're above the ground. Foundations are underground. They're not really seen, only to those who live there. So people don't see that loyalty, that obedience, that unity who are outside of Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't see that. All what they see is, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they go door to door. That's what they see. And we were witnesses not only when we were going door to door, but we had to be witnesses at school, we had to be witnesses at workplace, we had to be witnesses with our friends, and witness about God's kingdom in every visible decision. Just like when somebody comes to your home and all what they see is everything inside your home. They see how you take care of the walls. Is it clean? What kind of furniture do you have? Are the walls all dirty or they're painted? This is how people judge you. This is how people judge your home when they see what have you done with it. Is it all dirty, messed up, or is it taken care of? And we felt like we have to witness to the whole world, and with every decision, even the smallest decision, we have to support that work. But we couldn't possibly change it. We couldn't tell people, I'm going door to door and I'm going to teach everything except one belief. One belief, I'm just going to tell them that this whole 1914 is wrong. But everything else I'm okay with. No, you can't do that. It is not your home. And if you're witnessing to other people, it's you're accepting everything or nothing. And if you try to destroy any of the walls, any of the doctrines, you end up being evicted. Now, the fourth value, and I put it in quotation, the truth. The truth was obviously not a truth. It was their belief that they had the truth. And because that belief was so strong, it's like a roof. It's like a roof above the entire house, and it protected the entire house. So every time there was persecution, every time there was somebody questioning them, every time there was somebody making fun of them, mocking them, or whatever, it was like a huge water or storm or a rain or a drizzle coming on that house, and it just went to the sides. Off it goes. He protected the whole house because we believed we had the truth. And for as long as we had that belief, then it didn't matter what kind of conditions we were in. If it was a storm, sunny, rain, it didn't matter. If we went to school and the teacher was telling us stand up for national anthem, we said no. If schoolmates said, you know what, you have to buy gift for the teacher because we're all pitching in for their birthday, we said no. If they said, this is a time for holidays, we're buying things for our teacher for Christmas, we said no. We knew who we were, we had our identity, we knew who we are not, we knew what we accepting, what we're not accepting, and it was our roof because we believed it was the truth. And it was protecting us from everything that was outside until the roof started leaking. And we're like, there is a problem. And when the roof started leaking and we realized there are some things I believed to be true and they turn out not to be true, we started investigating. It's like, I thought this home was security. I thought it was in the maximum security. But then I went outside just for a moment, just to see what's going on. And I realized there was a big sign on that house that I'm living in that it said maximum security prison. I realized I was in prison. I was not allowed to go outside. And those who went outside, they were not treated very friendly. And you realize, oh boy, the whole thing is wrong. And everything collapsed. But how do you rebuild it? Yeah, it's not that easy. And everybody who went through this can pretty much agree with me that it was a very hard decision to make. And rebuilding and healing from that process was not easy. But how do you rebuild it? Well, let's start with the foundations. The foundations for me, this is how I rebuilt my values and my beliefs after leaving Jehovah's Witnesses. I realized that the number one value for me has to be life. It has to be life and health. Because without life, I'm dead. There is nothing I can do anymore. I can't help anybody. I can do nothing. I cannot influence. I cannot support anybody. There is nothing I can do if I'm dead. Now, you might think that that's normal to think that life is the number one value, but not for a Jehovah's Witness. For Jehovah's Witness, obedience was the number one value. So if they had a choice between accepting blood transfusion or dying, they would say, well, why would you extend your life right now and lose the prospect of everlasting life? You're better off losing just few years, maybe 10, 20, 30 years of your life right now, and then you'll have everlasting life. For them, obedience and loyalty was more important than life itself. And I realize right now, no, life is the most precious thing. It is the most important thing in life. And I have to cherish it and appreciate every day and every moment I have, because I don't know how many tomorrows I'm going to have. You don't know either. And just thinking of that fact that we're going to die, something that previously was like, okay, we'll die and we're going to get resurrected. Who cares? Oh, you know what? Life is very valuable, because without resurrection, without paradise and panda in your backyard, you better appreciate what you have right now, because there is no going back. There is no place where you can reverse time. You got one chance at this, one shot at life. And you better appreciate it, because it could end at any moment. Same with health. We take it for granted, just like we take for granted the foundations of our home. Nobody comes to your home and says, oh, you have such great foundations, I love it. Because they're buried. Nobody sees it until they break down. If they break down, if they start leaking, oh, you got some major problems. Nothing else matters later. It doesn't matter how beautiful kitchen you have. It doesn't matter how many bathrooms you have at home. If your foundations are giving in, oh boy, do your priorities change. It's the same thing with our health. And I realized I got to take care of my health, because if that gives in, then everything else does not matter. And I had those phone calls, and I've seen what that did in my family when health gave in. Priorities change very quickly. Nothing else matters. All the problems, all the arguments, or the disappointments, all those things that seemed so important yesterday, they change on a dime when the health gives in and you don't know how much time you're going to have left, if you're going to make it. So take care of your life. Take care of your health. Those are the foundations of you. And that will be your emotional home. Then the second one for me was love and freedom. Those were things I walk on. That's my floor. That's what keeps it all together. Because without love, I feel like my life has no meaning. I feel like I need to be connected with others. I need to make a difference in other people's lives. For me, that's the most important. So it's my value, because I know that without it, everything is kind of dull. Everything is mechanical. It's almost like robotic if there is no love. So for me, that is one of the top values. And the second one is freedom. I feel like without freedom, there is nothing you can do. You become a slave, and somebody else is telling you what to do and how to do. And if somebody's telling you how to love, like, you're gonna love me based on my conditions. How's that even gonna work? It's not gonna work. So for me, those two things are equal. I need to be free, and I need to be free to express my love towards somebody. They cannot demand it from me. The moment somebody demands love from me, it's the moment it's gone. Somebody demands respect from me, I'm like, not gonna happen. The moment somebody demands something from me, it's like we want to go the opposite direction. But it's when we feel free to express our love, to show our respect, to show our appreciation and gratitude towards someone, then the life really has juice. Then the life really has meaning. That's when we really feel like we're walking on this ground with a solid foundation. That's how I feel. So that's I had to put love and freedom as number 2 of my top values. Number three would be progress. And that's the visible part. That's the part where you build. That's the part which you grind. That's the part when you wake up in the morning and you don't care what anybody else thinks. It's your time and you want to go and work out, not because somebody pays you for it, not because you get some brownie points or points in heaven. No, you're doing this for yourself because you want to improve your health, your fitness, your strength. You go to work, you want to improve the quality of your work that you're producing for your customers or for your boss or for people, or increase your finances. You go home, you want to improve the quality of your home life, of your family life. I think progress equals happiness. When we see that things are improving, that things are getting better and better and better and better, that's the time when we feel happy. When we really feel that we're making a difference, measurable difference. When these things improving, when things are getting down, when our health is going down, when our finances are going down, when our relationships are going down, when our fitness is going down, when our energy is going down, how do you feel? Do you feel happy? I very much doubt it. But when we wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, today is better than yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be even better. It makes us feel happy because we can see the improvement, especially if we worked for it. Not just happened, but we worked for it and we're reaping the reward of our work. That's the visible stuff that we built the walls of our home. And it's like, this is where I'm going to put my kitchen. This is where I'm going to put my bathroom. This is the size of my bedroom. And I'm building this because it's mine. And if somebody comes and says, oh, you know what, I don't like this. This wall should be here. And the bathroom is too small. And the kitchen, it's an awkward place. That's fine. Go build your own. But this is my home. And this is how I'm going to live my life. And this is what convenient is for me. And this is how I designed my life. And it doesn't mean I cannot change this later. But at this moment, that's what I want. This is what I believe. This is why I believe it. And this is what I'm going to stand for. That's how you build the emotional home. And then the last one, which is very important, if not the most important, to protect us from any damages in the future, is a roof, which is our intent. Whatever decision that you make, whatever it is that you're going to create in your life, just think about the intent, why you're making this decision. Your why will protect you, because people will come and criticize you and they'll say, oh, you shouldn't have done this, or you shouldn't have done this. And they'll state their opinion, and very strongly so. And today people are very opinionated, especially on social media, when they can hide behind the screen. Oh, there's plenty of critics. But guess what? If inside you feel that you have done it for the right reason, that you have done it not for selfish gain, but to improve the quality of life for yourself and for others. And what you have done, you did it with the best intentions, then other people's criticism means nothing. It'll be like water going on the side of the roof, and you can just watch it from the window. You say, yeah, they can state their opinion all they want. I'm safe and dry inside. I don't care what they say, because they don't understand my intentions. They're questioning my intentions, but I know they're pure, so I don't have anything to worry about. See, if we know what we believe in If we know who we are, if we know our values, then other people's opinions will not have any effect on us. But if we're not certain, if we're just constantly tossed right, left, and center, we don't know what our values are, we don't know what our beliefs are, we're just tossed based on how things feel, and we're tossed by pain and pleasure to the right or to the left, guess what happens? People will come and they will test how good are your foundations, how good are your walls, how good is your structure, how are your intentions, and guess what? Your house will collapse. But if you have everything in order and you know exactly what you value and why you value it, then your house and your emotional home will be stronger than ever. And you know what? You will pass by the Kingdom Hall. You're going to see witnesses. You're going to pass by a street corner. You're going to see them with their cart. And they're going to look at you judgmental, thinking they have the best life ever. But you will know where they live. Emotionally, physically, you will know they're wearing a mask. You know how many problems they have. You know how many of them are depressed and they cannot even express it. You know how many of them are doubting. They can't express their doubts. You know how many of them are fake friends, but they won't admit it. You know how many of them are stuck or unhappy. They won't move. They will never understand the life that you have because they never had a taste of it. They don't understand that you can have a better emotional home. They live in somebody else's home. This is why when you go to another church, for example, and you listen to the speaker, it doesn't bother you. You can go to Catholic church if you're not a Catholic and they're talking to you about Trinity and a hellfire and how you should pray to Mary. It's like, it's so foreign to you. It's like a landlord talking to a tenant, but you're not the tenant, so you're a visitor. You just, oh, that's a speech for them. And when you go to the Kingdom Hall and you listen to the talk and you don't believe anything they're saying, this is what can help you. You realize, I don't live here anymore. This is not my home. They're speaking to them. I'm not a tenant here anymore. It is so healing. I remember when I did this, I was awake for a while and I stopped going to the meetings. But then my father-in-law, who was never a witness, and he decided to go for a memorial. And my wife asked me, okay, let's take him for the memorial. And I'm like, I agreed. After I think of like close to a year of not going to the meetings. And I went back and I went to the memorial and I listened to the talk and I'm like, they're not talking to me. This talk was not for me. I felt like a visitor in a totally different church. Because those beliefs, that mindset, I already had my emotional home. I already lived somewhere else. I was a visitor at their meeting. Didn't touch me. But when I was there as a PMO before, my stomach was turning, my nervous system was shutting down, telling me, begging me, get out of here because this place is not safe. If you are a PMO, if you are struggling, if your stomach is turning every time you go to the meeting, I tell you what, you have time. You don't want to end up on the street. Start building your emotional home. Start building your values. Start building your beliefs. Start deciding of who you are, what is your identity. Start building your social network. Start building your life outside. So when you decide to move, you're not going to end up on the street. You're going to go from a government building in a small apartment subsidized to a beautiful home of your own. And you will never look back as that was the best life ever. No, you're going to have a life on your terms. And there's nothing better than that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.